Good evening, feeble-minded Earthlings, and welcome to another episode of the Intergalactic Review. My name is Imperial Starbeast, and if you're receiving this transmission, it's because I've taken over your mind and we are now interacting as one. Tonight I'd like to talk about The Last Days on Mars. Set in 2022, the Tantalus outpost, a research base, was established on Mars. The 8-person crew is 19 hours away from completing their 6-month research mission to find life on the Martian planet. With the Aurora spacecraft inbound from Earth, scientist Marko Petrović has uncovered fossilized soil samples that point to life on the desolate planet. Without revealing his discovery, he devises a ruse for one last excursion on the surface.
Where are you guys going?
With a massive sandstorm on the horizon, crewmate Richard Harrington drives Petrović in a solar-powered rover to the dig site. While frantically trying to complete his research, Petrović is swallowed up by a sinkhole that suddenly opens beneath him. After Petrovic's presumed death, Captain Charles Brunel authorizes astronaut Vincent Campbell, played by Liev Stryver, to explore the pit.
Harrington, you seeing this?
I don't know what it is, but it's definitely alive.
There's footprints here. There's 2 pairs.
What the hell? They walked all the way back?
During his descent, Campbell discovers a fungal organism presented in the fissure. Reeling from the catastrophic experience, Campbell has a sudden panic attack and hears over the radio that Dalby and Petrović have appeared from the darkness.
Mayday!
What the hell happened down there?
There's blood everywhere.
But something's not right about the situation.
Comms are down. Till we fix them, we're trapped.
Somebody's coming in.
How could they have made the long walk through this storm?
We can't let this get back to Earth.
The Last Days on Mars is a 2013 science fiction horror film directed by Ruairi Robertson, with a screenplay written by Clive Dawson. The film is based on the 11-page short story The Animators, written in 1975 by acclaimed British author Sidney J. Bounds. What's interesting about the story is that it came out 4 years before Alien was released in theaters, and a few years following The Night of the Living Dead, far ahead of the zombie movie craze. It was screened in the director's fortnight section at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival.
It's infected his bloodstream.
It's an international co-production between Ireland and Great Britain. The film received a limited release in December of 2013 in the United States and April 2014 in the United Kingdom. It was met with criticism from critics and moviegoers alike, earning an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me be honest, this is a zombie movie in space, and I have nothing against the movie's premise. I've seen many zombie movies, and this is by far a better production than a lot of them. I love the idea of astronauts being confined to the space station while fighting back against the zombie threat. Trapped in such an environment is frightening in itself, let alone being chased by zombies. The unconventional Martian environment makes things like running away and fighting back all the more difficult while in a spacesuit. This raises the stakes during each confrontation with the undead. Like most horror films, the simplest character mistakes ultimately cause major issues for themselves down the line. The Last Day on Mars is no exception. The film does a good job portraying the amount of exhaustion and frustration characters have arrived at, allowing for a simple breach in protocol. This mistake has catastrophic consequences for the crew. At the start of the film, some crew members are seen waiting out the last days of the mission, playing chess, and being unfazed by the sporadic blackouts and massive sandstorms outside. You get the sense they've been through a lot while stranded on the Martian planet. Like any mission to space, each character has a specific role to play on the team. Secretly suffering from anxiety, Vincent is the cool and collected astronaut. He comes across confident, but with an honest sense of vulnerability. Rebecca Lane, played by Romola Gari, has grown the closest to him during the mission. She's the only one on the team that knows about his anxiety issues. The crew's captain, Charles Brunel, played by Ellis Koteas, is trying his best to keep the team united before evacuation. Kim Aldrich, played by Olivia Williams, is upset about ending the mission without any scientific discoveries. It's apparent her hard-ass personality is starting to weigh on crew members.
Campbell to Aldrich. Come here, Campbell.
I found myself liking her character the best, as she's grounded in the most common sense
It's 15:30.
when things start to fall apart. Robert, played by Johnny Harris, is the film's pseudo-antagonist, fighting to stay alive at any cost, even if it means sacrificing others to make it home to his family. The crew continues to extend a lot of trust his way, even when he starts to show signs of weakness. The interactions with Robert are tense when the crew starts to question his motives. Principal photography went from May to July of 2012. Exterior shots took place in Jordan, and then production moved to Elstree Studios in England. The film does a wonderful job creating a hot, desolate Martian atmosphere on a minimal budget. The Jordanian vegetation was removed digitally by the special effects team at Screen Scene Visual Effects, Ireland's leading and multi-award-winning post-production company. The team helped create the hot Martian environment by adding the massive dust storm, as well as creating the wonderful Land Rovers. In one shot, they seamlessly blend huge panning shots of the exterior of the CGI rovers with the interior shots of actors in the cab. It really helps build the believability of the effect. Unlike most cinematic zombies, writers kept to Bound's original story concept, where the undead are not mindless creatures, but cold reasoning intelligent beings acting with a hive mind and moving purposefully and adaptly. Zombies can operate equipment and access airlocks when necessary, working in unison to track and deliberately trap those that still remain human. The zombie effect is a mixture of special effects prosthetics, makeup, and CGI, focusing the effect on a rotting face within a spacesuit. Tara McDonald was head of hair and makeup on the feature. Prosthetics were designed by Kristen Mallett. The pair highlighted some nice flesh wounds and bloody limbs as well. The effect is rarely seen standing still long enough to get a good look at it until the end of the film. A lot of the action is filmed in dark spaces, so you never get a good look at anything. I wish they would have shown more throughout the film. Once the film took the turn to full-on zombie infestation, it started to have a Night of the Living Dead meets a 2001 A Space Odyssey feel to it, and I found it quite enjoyable. Robinson set out to make a paranoid thriller reminiscent of Alien. His influences include Paul Greengrass, Michael Mann, and Sergio Leone. I could see where these influences played a role in the way the movie was shot, especially in enclosed locations. The first 30 minutes really highlighted the Martian surface, allowing for the orange desert to really shine through the screen. I was hoping to see more blue accompany all of the orange, but I never felt like the film had any purposeful blue and orange color grading intent. Unfortunately, I never felt like actors were really on the distant Martian planet, but while watching the movie, something just felt off with the way they moved on the surface, and all I could come up with was maybe it had something to do with how heavy objects and people looked on film. Regardless, the film is beautifully shot and looks amazing for the budget constraints producers had to work with. In typical horror film fashion, The Last Days on Mars opening scene highlighted an interesting jazz track, Blue Skies Are Around the Corner by Jack Hilton and his orchestra. I love the idea that characters are looking forward to their departure so much that they're listening to music that paints the picture of a happier place back on Earth. Some characters reference lines from the song towards the end of the movie, which was cool, but I was hoping the song would somehow come on in the rover during a bloody zombie attack, really driving home classic horror movie tropes. The film is scored by classical writer Max Richter. His work embodies both the rigor of the classical tradition and the experimentation of contemporary electronica. The soundtrack provides just enough electronic ambience to add to the scary experience without being overbearing and grandiose. I feel it pairs nicely as the drama unfolds on screen. The Last Days on Mars creates a sense of quiet desperation, like prior films in the zombie genre have, but after seeing so many similar stories, the change of scenery for this outbreak makes the movie fresh and unique. Its hopeless ending leaves you to draw your own conclusion to the story, which I found exciting and fun. There has been a good deal of criticism around The Last Days of Mars and how similar it is to a handful of films we've already seen, most notably Prometheus, which came out the year prior. Obviously, movies take years to write and develop, produce, and promote before they arrive on the big screen, so to say it's a copycat is simply ignorant. So many of my favorite movies, when it comes down to their storytelling, are concepts and ideas I already know and love, which is why I'm interested to see them to begin with. Every superhero blockbuster is basically a remake of the one before, and no one seems to be bothered by this. The Last Days on Mars is an audacious zombie movie set in a new environment, and it works as a fun thriller. I feel the problem with its reception was that audiences were unknowingly tricked into believing it was something it was not. It's apparent that its small budget struggled to bring to life the massive cinematic scale similar movies in the genre have. It's unfortunate that it's compared to films like Alien and Prometheus, which had massive budgets. I can see where audiences left wanting more of what prior films achieved, but that's not this film's fault. The overall production value of its environments and vehicles was surprisingly beautiful, and I think the story's simplicity makes for a fascinating movie experience. This movie is not a blockbuster, but it has a decent plot, interesting characters, and amazing special effects. I was interested in its sci-fi storyline, and that interest turned to excitement when I found out it had zombies. For these reasons, I give The Last Days on Mars a C-. Thank you for participating, and please stay tuned for more sci-fi movie reviews. Until then, drop me a comment below and tell me why you love or hate The Last Days on Mars. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, because this transmission may be the only one you hear from space.